I'm great. How are you, Mike?
Everything's good. Everything is fantastic. I know finally this game coming up on Sunday it's nice to see the guys back out there, but they already got a little bit of adversity here, Geoff. Micah Shepherd, bad news for them. Was he the front runner to win that spot?
Mike, I don't know if you should consider him the front runner. He was getting the first crack, the first nickelback reps after they traded Brandon Boykin, but there was a philosophy behind that. He was practicing as the second team slot, if you will, behind Boykin during the spring camps. So it's only natural that the guy who is number 2 on the depth chart would then inherit temporarily number 1, and then it's still an open competition, but you give him the first shot because he has the most comfort. He's been doing it, and then you want to see him prove himself. Obviously, Micah Shepherd was an impressive guy for being a 6th-round pick. I know the coaches believe they had really gotten a steal. Obviously, he ran his pro day 40 with a torn hamstring. It was really low. He fell. They thought he was much higher than a 6th-round pick, probably a 3rd or a 4th. So they felt really confident in him. Now they have to go look in other directions. But the good thing about what they've done this offseason, Mike, is that they loaded up on D-backs who can play corner, who can play safety, who can play nickel. So we'll see where they move on from there. I would suspect Jaylen Watkins gets the first shot now.
I was going to ask you about him. He was a 4th-round pick last year. But, the one interesting about Watkins that I find is he's kind of Boykinish.
Yeah, he is kind of Boykinish. I guess you mean in size.
In size.
He's not 6 feet. He's probably more like 5'11", but he is he's strong. He's built well, just like Brandon is. He was a 4th-round pick last year. But the difference between him and Brandon is, whereas Brandon was kind of a slot corner to begin with, he even played there at Georgia a lot. Here's a guy who was a cornerback at Florida and a safety. If you talk to some people around draft time about Jaylen Watkins, they really liked his mental attitude and aspect of the game, because that Florida defense was a mess his senior year, and he was kind of in charge of being the glue to hold it together. They felt he was a really smart, intelligent player. Now, he practiced all around last year. He was at corner, he was at safety, he was at nickel, and he was doing the same thing in spring camps. So, I mean, when you look at Walter Thurman as a guy who's playing corner, and now safety, and can play nickel, Jaylen Watkins kind of fits that description. He has experience in all 3 spots, and that should help him as he adapts to nickel only.
Geoff Mosher, CSNPhilly.com, covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they play Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Colts. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Give me your breakdown of the outside spot, Carroll and Rowe. What's happening over there? How do you foresee that shaking out?
Yeah, I mean, Nolan Carroll opened up camp being that guy at left cornerback opposite Byron Maxwell. He was getting most of the first-team reps, but the coaches made it clear it was an open competition between Nolan and Eric Rowe, and Eric Rowe, as of recently, has been getting the first-team reps, and that had nothing to do with anything good or bad that Nolan did. It's just how they're going to mix and match personnel as they try to, A, get Eric Rowe more acclimated to the NFL speed and pace, and B, see if he's measuring up. They know what Nolan Carroll can do. They're really happy, maybe more happy with Nolan Carroll this offseason than any other player on the roster. Nolan's really excited about what he went through this offseason. So I would say in the long term, given how hard it is for rookie corners to really, carve their niche that first year. I mean, we see guys like Justin Gilbert last year and Dean Milner. It's really hard even when you're a first-round pick. I would be surprised if Eric Rowe started the season as your outside corner. What wouldn't surprise me, though, is if Nolan Carroll was your starter outside corner but moved into that slot role, because he did play kind of a similar role last year in the dime package as a dime linebacker. You can move him into the slot and then bring in Eric Rowe to play the outside.
I have a question for you. I don't know that you know the answer or have an opinion on it, but Rowe played safety in college. Thurman has played corner in the past. Would it be better off for Thurman to kind of be that slot guy and Rowe to be the safety man? I mean, do they not have any interest in playing Rowe at safety?
Well, I'll start with your first point first. Because Thurman has slot experience and he is playing safety now, that's what they wanted, because they want him and Malcolm to be able to play the slot and stay in base defense more instead of having to rely on nickel. And they were actually doing that last year. You noticed that Malcolm Jenkins played a good deal of slot, and the team would stay on base, say, in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and not have to get real small and nickel in case the team wanted to try to pop a run, or just to have that bigger line, because Chip likes big people beat up little people. That's what he likes. So I think you're going to see Walter Thurman play the slot more anyway. But with Eric Rowe, they've made it pretty clear that they see him as an outside corner. He has that physical, tall, lengthy body that Chip Kelly really likes on the outside. And because he's a rookie, they don't want to be messing him up and moving him inside, moving him outside, moving him slot, moving him safety. They want him to focus on outside cornerback. They think that's where his future is. So for this moment, I don't think they're considering at all Eric Rowe at safety right now.
All right, Jeff Mosher, CSNPhilly.com, at Jeff Mosher, CSN on Twitter. I want to get your thoughts now. The linebacker spot, when I heard Billy Davis, he kind of said, Kiko's fine. I thought he sounded a little bit more guarded when he was talking about DeMeco. What are you seeing from DeMeco? And is there some concern that maybe, he's not going to be 100% when the season's ready?
I think what they're saying is that DeMeco Ryans is out on the field, and that's pretty amazing considering his age and that he's coming back from a second Achilles tear in the same tendon. But, you can watch him out there. I mean, I think he can still play the run. I think he can still move well. They work on wheel routes a lot. And, when you see DeMeco matched up against even Raheem Mostert, who's, very, very fast, but he's not obviously proven himself in this league, it's just he can't get over there and cover the flats and cover guys coming out of the backfield the way he would want to. And he wasn't really, he was starting to not be great at that anyway, even when he was healthy. And that's why I think, they bring in a guy like Kiko and they draft Jordan Hicks, who was really athletic inside linebacker. But it did seem like Billy was saying he was uncertain of just how effective DeMeco will be by the season opener. I think they like the progress he's making, and I think they think he's ahead of a schedule. So I would assume that they do expect him to be ready by the season opener, as in he can play a game. It's just that how much of a capacity could they be able to use him in by then? Yeah,
is there any, I guess with Kendricks, he came out last week and said, you guys can put that down in pen. He is not getting traded, so I'm assuming that we'll take his word on that. But how are those guys?
You can take his word on that. To me, that was Chip Kelly's way of telling the rest of the NFL, stop offering me, seventh rounders and conditional sixes for a guy who has a lot of potential in this league, just because you know that he's the odd man out in our rotation. Again, this DeMeco thing may necessitate him being on the roster, but I still think, and especially the way they've been talking about Jordan Hicks lately, I still think if somebody were to give the Eagles a second-round type pick, maybe a third-rounder conditional second, that Chip Kelly wouldn't hesitate to pull the trigger.
So how are they used at practice, those three? I guess Kiko being out has kind of blurred that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when Kiko was not out, they were rotating a lot. There was you could look up at one point and see Kiko and DeMeco, or you could look up at one point and see Kiko and Kendricks, or you could look up at one point and say DeMeco and Kendricks. So it's amazing I didn't repeat a name in that. But so it was a good three-man rotation. Obviously, when Kiko went down, Jordan Hicks the third-round pick, started to get a little bit more action in there, and you've seen him. He's a pretty athletic guy. He does make some plays that stand out. So I'm kind of interested to see him, because the knock on Jordan is how he plays the run. But he's this perfect linebacker for the NFL because he can run with tight ends and so forth. But, as far as getting around offensive linemen and making a big tackle, the knock on him is he wasn't that good at that. So I think he's an interesting guy to watch Saturday night, is it? Sunday? I don't even know anymore.
Sunday, 1 o'clock.
Sunday at 1 o'clock, right?
It's a regular, just Sunday 1 o'clock, old school football. Sunday 1 o'clock
How about that?
Yeah, for a preseason game, really weird. All right, the offensive line, they lost the other spot.
Well, yeah, Alan Barber looks pretty solidified there at left guard. It's really interesting. Matt Tobin was right guard first day, and then it was Andrew Gardner, then it was Tobin again, then it was John Moffitt, which was surprising, then it was Gardner. And so it kind of looked like this thing was down to Tobin, Gardner, and John Moffitt probably right now as the advantage, and Moffitt being the wild card. But then Julian Vanderbilt's kind of gotten in the mix the last 2 days, and he is a guy who fits the scheme. It's amazing he's here. He's been released twice and been re-signed twice. He's not your big mauler. He's your athletic type, so I think that really fits in with what they do. It's just that he's had two separate duties, so I don't know how reliable he can be. Whenever you're talking about an offensive lineman who's had back surgeries, you just wonder if, the next practice is going to be the last one. But it's a good mix, and Chip said the other day, he'll take it down as long as you need to. And someone said, well, isn't continuity really important for an offensive line? Don't you want to have one guy out there? And Chip responded, yeah, but it's got to be the right guy. Continuity doesn't matter if you don't have the right guy in there. So I think that's kind of telltale about the level of competition, that you have a bunch of guys who are pretty equal level caliber and, maybe not that great, but, so they need time to really separate from each other.
So much, interesting storylines up there with the group of guys, because a lot of those guys played last year and weren't all that impressive. It's almost like they're cleaning the slate. But do you think that the new running backs have changed the roles of the interior linemen?
I don't know if it's changed their roles, so to speak. I think the offense
maybe changed their style.
No, I think the offense will still be run the same way. I just think that if the running backs do what they're supposed to and follow the blocks with great discipline and the way the play is designed, then you and I won't be talking about if Matt Tobin's a disaster or not filling the Harriman spot, or if Alan Barber is living up to Evan Mathis. I think they'll be fine because the running backs that they've got behind there are pretty proven guys. So as long as the pile is moving them forward, then everything's going to be okay here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they brought Murray in, especially Murray, more so than Matthews, but I want to get your thoughts on Matthews too, but thought that the roles – that the reason why Mathis and Harriman's were kind of expendable is because those guys were the more athletic, second-level blockers, where these guys, a little bit bigger, they want you to just win at the line of scrimmage. They're not worried about you getting to that second level, because he'll take Murray just running forward for 4 yards and go back to the – I guess not – I say go back to the huddle is not the word you would use either for this team, but, get right back up there.
Right, yeah, I think that's been said. I think that's a little bit overstated. I mean, if you look at a lot of Chip's power sweeps and inside and outside zones, you'll see guys out in the second. I mean, Jason Kelce is perfect for this scheme because he gets out there in the second level. And some of the best runs I can remember last year were Kelce and Harriman's out there, whether it was on a screen or just a sweep. So it's important that they're athletic. And Matt Tobin is a guy that they've talked about his athleticism for his size. I mean, he was a tackle at Iowa, but he's closer to 300 pounds than he is 330. So he's a guy who moves really well. We just never got a chance to see it last year because if you remember, I think it was an ankle hyperextension in that preseason finale, and so when he had to play early, he was still not full. A high ankle sprain, that's what it was. He still wasn't fully recovered, and I think it kind of disrupted his confidence, and he just never got his vibe going. But now that he's healthy and spent the whole year and kind of getting those first-team reps, I expect to see a little bit of an improvement in him.
Geoff Mosher, CSNPhilly.com. Sam Bradford hasn't missed any snaps. Seems like he is good to go. He's fine. He'll play Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, he should. I mean, I can't imagine them holding him out. He's had a really great week of practice, Mike. And, I don't want to overstate anything because to me there's two levels. There's level one, which is just being healthy. I should say three levels. Level one is being healthy. He's that. Cross that off. Level two is then just kind of having a comfort with the offense and knowing where you're supposed to throw the ball and knowing where your receivers are going to be and being able to exhibit that confidence in that you know them and you're comfortable with the job in these camp practices. But level three is you do it against a team that's, trying to hurt you and then putting a pass rush on, which he doesn't see at all in practice. So, I mean, I think the preseason games will be really big. I mean, the thing I want to see is his pocket presence now when a pass rush comes out, when it's actual, kind of close to being real, which is what the preseason game you could say is as far as having that pass rush and that intensity coming at you. So we'll see.
I know, I believe Lane Johnson it was who told you that he had not seen a quarterback with the accuracy that Bradford has. And I remember when he was in college, that was really what you heard. That's why he was the number one pick. He was such an accurate passer. And to hear a teammate say, whoa, to see this up close and personal, that's a little something different. Is it noticeable that Bradford is a little bit more advanced than Foles was?
Yeah, and I'll say this. I think we're used to now in this league, guys completing 60% of their passes, like the Drew Breeses of the world. It's almost like if you're not completing 60% anymore, you're not accurate. And that's a way higher benchmark than it used to be. I think what we don't see very often is a guy who has great accuracy and also a really good arm. I mean, guys like Drew Brees doesn't have a really good arm, but he's so pinpoint that he makes up for it, right? And when you see Bradford, I think it's Matthew Stafford, who I think has a great arm, but maybe isn't the most accurate passer in the world. I mean, he kind of hovers in that 58 to 60, depending on game and opponent. But Sam Bradford's got both right now going really well for him. And an example I'll give you is they were doing a red zone drill the other day, and Matthews from the slot, Jordan Matthews, kind of runs a corner route to the back left of the end zone. Bradford sees it immediately, and it's just the way the play was developing, and the way I think Nick Foles would have approached it is with Jordan's height and having a little bit of a step, he would have floated a little fade pass down in the back corner and let Jordan Matthews go up and get it, which is a good what's expecting to happen. And then all of a sudden, Bradford is looking at Matthews, and he just fires a laser. And really, Matthews only had about a step on the guy, and I think it was Thurman, and bam, the laser went right in for a touchdown, and it just stuck right in Jordan Matthews' hands. That's what I mean. He's not only accurate, but he's got a really strong arm, and he doesn't have to, he doesn't always have to throw a fade in the red zone because he can just gun it in there.
That's good to hear, and it's good to see that he's trusting himself. He looks a lot more confident. And I guess, just watching him in some of the CSN video and seeing some of the interviews, he seems like a guy who really commands respect. Just not an arrogant guy, but just, I'm a quarterback. This is the position I was supposed to play. Very confident in himself, it seems like. He just seems like that's the position for him.
Yeah, you said Jordan, right? Not Jordan. You said Bradford, right?
Yeah, Bradford.
Okay. And that's another thing that Lane Johnson and somebody else mentioned. I think Brent Selleck I was talking to. They were both saying how when Sam got here, he's a new guy. He's just still coming back from an injury. He's got a whole lot of stuff on his mind that pertains to his knee and not even about the offense or his new teammates or this contract or anything. And then in this past week, as he's starting to really take control of the job and take command of the huddle, you're seeing a little more of a confident guy, a swagger, he'll fist pump after a good play. So I think he's starting to exhibit what you're looking for out of that leader of a quarterback, somebody who's getting the team galvanized and really believing in him. They always believed in his arm, but I think they needed to believe that he can lead the huddle and knows what he's doing and is ready to, kind of assert his leadership in there, and they're seeing it now.
Jeff, a couple quickies. Darren Sproles, is his role changing? Is it evolving? He was a guy that everybody wanted to see get more time last year. They added two backs. He was only competing with really one last year. So what do you see from Sproles?
Well, I think it has to. I think Darren was, he's not a vocal guy. He doesn't talk. But I think, from what I've heard, when they added two running backs, he was a little bit disappointed, just kind of uncertain what's going on, especially with his role. He thought he was brought here to be an all-purpose weapon, not just special teams. And you saw at the end of last year, they just weren't getting him the ball. He was double-teamed a lot when he did get out there, and I think that just kind of discouraged the staff from trying to get him involved. But neither quarterback, Foles nor Mark, seemed to know how to get the ball to him the right way. But I also think, I don't want to blame the coaches, but I feel like they were so dead set last year on calling him a running back and not a slot receiver and giving him practically only running back reps in training camp that it just seemed like they had no interest in getting him more involved in the passing game. But now you see him lining up, and all the running backs are doing a lot of lining up in the slot, but especially Sproles, and they're really starting to show a type of passing attack and what it would look like if Sproles was in the slot. Now, maybe that has to do with Sam being the quarterback and his accuracy and his quick decision-making. It could go hand in hand, but you definitely are seeing him more involved, and especially with the limited action that DeMarco Murray is getting. You're seeing Darren Sproles get a lot more reps and be a lot more into practices.
Do you think that Josh Huff will make an impact this year?
Man, it's easy to watch these practices and say yes because, A, he's getting a lot of first-team reps, if not all, and B, he certainly seems a little bit more comfortable in the offense, catching more balls, being a little bit more of a downfield threat. But I still question his reliability as far as holding on to the ball, as far as being consistent, as far as just, when he's out there, is he going to make a big play? Because you don't want to waste reps, especially when you have Nelson Aguilar there, got Jordan Matthews, Miles Austin hasn't done much, but he's a veteran, he can do something. You don't want to put a guy out there if you think he's wasting your reps. So I would have to, I want to say he'll make an impact, but I can't completely be confident in that. I think the preseason, the games, we'll really know if he's ready to be a guy who you're going to consider on that first team and cracking that starting lineup, or just a wide receiver who can't find his niche and is going to kind of get phased out.
All right. I told you about Matthews. I want to get your thoughts there because I think when Murray was here, everyone just assumed he would be the workhorse guy. I think people just don't know enough about Matthews. He's been hurt a lot, but, man, this guy is a very intriguing-looking player when he is healthy. He's big and he is fast. Do you think that Matt? What's that?
And I was going to say, I think that's the problem with Ryan Matthews as far as the perception about him. Mm-hmm. And a lot of NFL players have that where, I don't want to say that he's a career or a combine career. He obviously had a really good college career out there at Fresno State. Is that right? San Diego State? Where did Ryan Matthews go?
He was at where he went to college, you're saying? Or where he?
Yeah, I said Fresno State, but I wasn't 100%.
Yeah,
okay.
Fresno's right.
He was a first-round pick, but I do. There's a part of me that wonders what his deal is. The injuries you can't be controlled, but he was here before DeMarco Murray signed, and then they signed DeMarco Murray while he was still unsigned, and he still agreed to be here. And I just wonder about that. And you could say, well, maybe there was no market for him, but this is a guy who just 2 years ago had 1,255 yards. That's a lot. And as you mentioned, he's got the explosion, he's got the speed. Why is he so willing to be here behind DeMarco Murray? And I just have to question, whether he's really got the heart to want to really play this game at the highest level running backs want the ball. I like running backs who want the ball all the time and want to fight for every snap. And I just question why he would have still signed here. So that's just me.
That's fair, and you wonder, because you're right. These guys are all competitive. It's hard to assume that a kid 27 years old is saying, well, this will be good for me because it'll keep me healthy. I know that sounds smart to say, but you're right. The competitor would say, I want the ball every single time. So do you think that Murray will get the ball virtually, I don't want to say every single time, but do you think it's going to be a very unbalanced split?
No, I think they are going to give a good deal of carries to Ryan Matthews. I would be shocked if Murray was carrying the ball 25-plus times per game. And certainly everything they're doing this training camp, pretty much limiting his action, his action, lightening his load, suggests that they want to take it easy on him, at least from the start. So I would expect. They've got three good running backs here. They have three running backs who have all made the Pro Bowl. Can you think of an NFL team in the history of the league that ever had three running backs that all made the Pro Bowl?
That was a good question.
I'm not sure there's one. So Chip's definitely got the resources here to spread it out and take it easy on these guys.
He's Geoff Mosher, CSNPhilly.com, covering the Eagles. They get ready to take on the Colts to their first preseason game Sunday, 1:00. I don't want you to be late.
I will not be, I promise.
All right, man. Take care. Good stuff.
Thanks, Mike. Talk to you soon.